Thank you for that report from Toledo. An update on a story that we've been following in Genesee County. Last week, we told you about the fight and lawsuit over an industrial park being built in Genesee County and a sewage transmission pipeline in neighboring Orleans County. Orleans County says if completed, the sewer line would do irreplaceable damage to a nearby creek, which they rely on for fishing and tourism. And tonight, our partners at Investigative Post are reporting the Stamp Industrial Park may have violated federal law. And joining us now from Investigative Post, reporter behind that story, J. Dale Shoemaker. Thank you so much for joining us. What federal law is really at play here? What happened?
So we're talking about the Stamp Industrial Park, as you mentioned, and an industrial park of this size, it's 1,250 acres. They need a very large sewer line. Genesee County EDC is seeking to build a 9.5-mile sewer line from the Stamp site across the county line and into Oak Orchard Creek. Experts have said that even once this wastewater is treated, it's likely to contain the chemical phosphorus. That's a problem because Oak Orchard Creek is currently listed on what's called the 303D list under the Clean Water Act as impaired for phosphorus. Now what that means is that there's already phosphorus pollution in that creek. And that means if you put any more in it, you have violated the Clean Water Act. The federal government says you're not allowed to do that. And the creek has been on this list for about 25 years now. So last year, DEC, which is in charge of issuing permits for these projects that have to comply with the Clean Water Act, they issued a permit to Stamp for this wastewater line, assuming that because Stamp is currently farmland, that the agricultural runoff containing phosphorus was going to run from that Stamp site into the creek. You're replacing that with an industrial park, and therefore it kind of net zero, it all evens out. That is not true. That the runoff from the Stamp site currently does not go into the creek, meaning that if you have this wastewater, you will be putting more phosphorus into the creek in violation of the law. Now, the DEC has since realized that it has made a mistake, and it has written a letter to Genesee County EDC saying, you need to find a way to offset this phosphorus. You need to mitigate for this. And Genesee County in response is saying, you've already given us a permit. We don't have to do that. Okay,
now in the last 24 hours, crews had to stop drilling that pipeline, right? After sinkholes opened up. So the National Wildlife Refuge, that happened there, that Iroquois National Wildlife Refuge. What have you heard about this? What's the concern there?
So this is the same project. This is just in a different part of the pipeline.
Okay.
So they're building the pipeline from Stamp north through Genesee County, across the county line, and then to the creek. This is in that first part of the pipeline in Genesee County. It's running through the Iroquois National Wildlife Refuge. And as they were drilling to put this pipeline in place, they encountered sinkholes. In a statement, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service said, quote, sinkholes have been observed in the right-of-way, and they said that drilling is now paused while the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the DEC investigate.
There are a lot of moving parts here, but when you mention the word sinkholes and we talk about that, that really raises a red flag for people, industrial areas as well as residents as well. So based on all of the reporting that you've been doing and what you're seeing, what do you see happening next year?
So the timeline at this point is not clear. DEC is asking Genesee County for more information to achieve these phosphorus offsets so that they don't put more of that chemical into the creek. The lawyers, like I said, for Genesee County, they're fighting this, and they're saying it would be unlawful, basically, for DEC to make them do this. So the lawyers are kind of fighting that out right now. We have to see how that plays out. On Monday, a Supreme Court judge in Orleans County issued a temporary restraining order to stop construction of the pipeline in Orleans County. So they can build up to the county line, and they cannot go over. There's a court hearing set for October 23rd to address that part of things further. Needless to say, there is a lot going on with this pipeline, and we just kind of have to wait and see to see what happens next.
I think you're right about that because so many more issues could come up. We got the sinkholes, and who knows what's next, right? You never know what's going to pop up.
That's right.
All right. J. Dale Shoemaker from Investigative Post, thank you so much for coming in and keeping us up to date on Stamp. We appreciate you being here today.
All right.